Number 1, you got to know the names of your strings and how to tune. So, going through the names really quick. E, A, D, G, B, E. There's many acronyms out there to help you memorize this. Kind of a funny one that I like to teach students. Eddie, 8, dynamite, goodbye Eddie. Seems to work. Now when it comes to using a tuner, I recommend a chromatic tuner. I think that's going to be the most accurate and it's going to help you out the best. It's really important that you're in tune as much as you can be, because let's just be honest, to the human ear, it doesn't sound good to hear things that are out of tune. Number 2, understanding your guitar and the amp that you're playing out of. Now, if you're playing an acoustic guitar and you're not actually plugged into an amp, it's still really important that you understand how the acoustic works inside and out. So in today's video, I have an electric guitar, obviously, and I need to understand my volume knobs, my tone knobs, what they do, how I can manipulate the sounds, toggle switch, pickup selector, if you will. Here's my actual pickups. It's good to know the names of them too, what's actually going on with that. Up here, of course, your tuning pegs, how to utilize those. I have an extra little set of tuners here. They're called fine tuners, which is a really cool attachment to this guitar. So it's important to know your guitar inside and out. Same thing goes with your amplifier. In this case, I'm using an amp modeler, which has many different amps built into it, and I'm able to manipulate tones based on what I want to play. It's important to know the amp that you're playing out of and what styles and genres it actually accommodates the most, so you can get the best sounds out of your amp. So get to know your guitars and your amps. Number 3, you gotta learn songs and study your favorite players. So that's what we do when we're playing music. We're playing songs. Of course, learning techniques and doing all these things is really great, and it's going to make us a better player and musician, but ultimately, we need to learn songs. So I recommend to all my students, and I recommend to you, that you study your top 3 favorite guitar players. Try not to go too much more than that. Top 3, learn a bunch of songs from them, and you'll soon find that their style rubs off into yours and you kind of create your own at that point. It's really helpful to just, I think, stick to 3 players and don't go too thin and spread too wide on that. Number 4, your open and your power chords. So if I just play through my open chords, C, A, G, E, D. Now if I play the minor, A minor, D minor, E minor. Those set of chords right there, you can play thousands of songs with. In fact, a lot of people just learn those chords and they just move those shapes around with a capo when they're singing and playing songs. So you gotta learn your open chords and you gotta be able to switch between them really quickly with it sounding clean. Another important type of chord quality for you to learn is your power chords. They're a bit easier to play, I think, because it's just 2 fingers at a time, at least in these shapes that I'm playing. You can move this around a lot, and I'm just using my index and my pinky. That's going to come in handy when you're playing a lot of different songs. So you got to learn your power chords and your open chords. Number 5, your root notes. It's definitely important that you know every note on the guitar. Sounds like it might be a lot if you're a beginner, but I'm going to show you a really quick and easy trick to get to know your fretboard really fast. Here's a trick that I teach everyone when they're learning their root notes. I'm literally moving the same position throughout the neck. So let me demonstrate. If I choose the note F, here it is. You might have been able to see that I was literally just moving the same exact position throughout the fretboard. So what I'm doing is playing the 1st fret on the E string, because that's the nearest F that I can start with. And then I'm playing F up the octave, 2 frets over, skipping a string. Where my pinky was, I'm putting my index, and then my pinky is now going to the 6th fret on the B string or the 2nd string, depending on how you look at it. And that pattern right there is going to be the same for all of the root notes. There's only 12 notes in music. So check this out. Here's F again. Now I need to find F on the other 3 strings. So I found it on the 8th fret. I do the same exact pattern. Skip a couple strings, move over a couple frets. You could play it even higher up. So let's take another root note just as an example. I'll take B just off the top of my head. So here's the nearest B that I can start with. I'm going to do that same exact hand pattern. Okay, now I need to find it on the other 3 strings. And there you have it. That works for all of the 12 notes that are in music. Number 6 is going to be what I call good practice of rhythm. 90% of the time, you're going to be playing rhythm as a guitar player, so you might as well just be great at it. And I can tell you right now that being a great rhythm player goes a very, very long way. And it most certainly translates into being a great lead guitar player. I know we see a lot of guys that can shred and do a lot of cool lead licks, but if you don't have solid rhythm as a foundation, you're not going to have the best lead guitar playing that you could. My favorite guitar players, Eddie Van Halen, Randy Rhoads, they were spectacular rhythm guitar players. And guess what? It easily translated into their lead guitar playing as well. So when you listen to them, you can tell that they put the time in with their rhythm guitar playing. So when you're learning songs and you're practicing your rhythm parts, try to take it a bit further. Count the rhythms out loud, maybe look up some of the music, try to understand how you would count the rhythms, look up rhythm values, and just start trying to understand rhythm even deeper, not just playing on a technical level. I promise you, it'll go a far way. Number 7 is going to be hand synchronization. So your picking hand and your fretting hand really need to be in sync as you're playing 100% of the time. So a really simple exercise that I teach people is the chromatic exercise, or I like to look at it as the 1, 2, 3, 4 exercise just to simplify things. You may have seen this before. So I'll demonstrate and then I'm going to show you really quick. Nice and clean. Maybe I'll build some speed. Still maintaining that hand synchronization. So it's cool to move fast and all, but what's really important is that my picking hand was using alternate picking down, up, and my left hand was using all 4 fingers, or my fretting hand, and I was making sure that they were being hit and sunk up at the right time. So if you practice this slowly, down, up, that's frets 1 through 4, go to the next string. Down, up, slow and steady until you're ready to build some speed. You can extend the exercise by maybe now descending, which means going down, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then ascending, 3, 4, 5, 6, so on and so forth. What's important is that both of your hands sync up and that you have great hand synchronization. Number 8 is a couple scales that I think are essential in playing music: the minor pentatonic and the blues scale. I truly feel like these scales are used so commonly, and you're going to see them especially in rock and pop and blues. So there's 5 different ways you can play these scales, or 5 different places. The guitar is a 5-octave instrument. Not a lot of guitar players even think about that. So keeping that in mind, that there's 5 places that you can play everything, at least on a 6-string guitar, let's take that main box, or that main pattern 1 that a lot of people learn, and let's start experimenting with that. So I'm going to do this in the key of E, so we're going to use E minor pentatonic. Okay, I'm starting on the 12th fret where my root note is, and then I'm going to play the exact scale. Now the pentatonic scale has 5 notes in the scale, hence the word penta, okay? I'm not here to go deep into all the intervals and what's going on on a deeper level, I think that's something you should study and take very seriously. But for now, just getting the pattern under your fingers and really being able to move through it is most important. So if I'm practicing and just noodling around, if you will, with some licks, it might go something like this. Getting familiar with the sound of pentatonic, I'm understanding the familiarity that it brings to the human ear, thinking about a lot of that, and I'm just getting my fingers to be able to understand the box, if you will. So the second scale is going to be the blues scale. Now this is exactly the minor pentatonic, but we're adding one note, so it becomes a 6-note scale. And you'll often hear people say the blue note or the flat 5. You're going to hear that a lot. And that's the note that we're adding on top of the minor pentatonic. So with the blues scale, and we're doing this in E, we have our E minor pentatonic. Okay, now we're going to add in that blue note or the flat 5, which is right here. Now we're going to play it in the next octave. You might say octave, what do you mean? Well, I'm just saying that we're playing the same exact notes, but we're playing them higher up. That's what an octave is. So once again, whenever I cross that blue note or the flat 5, I'm going to add that in. And same thing applies. I'm kind of getting it familiar, noodling a little bit. And trying to understand the tonality that brings. So those are two really important scales I think you should focus on as a beginner guitar player. The 9th and final thing I think you should know is basic theory. You don't need to know very extensive theory right now. In fact, I think that studying too much theory in the beginner stage might deter you, and it might actually make you a bit more mechanical or technical when some of these other aspects need to be put into play. But you do need to know some basic theory. Don't avoid it. More knowledge is more power. So, a couple things I think that will help you out with basic theory are your key signatures. You want to be able to identify what key you're in, especially if you're learning songs, if you are playing with other musicians. This is a strong way that we can communicate with each other by you telling me what key you're in. So if you're playing something, I could probably already tell by what you're playing. Let's say I'm playing a B chord. I know that this is a blues in B. Your root note is right here. It's a B note. So knowing that, I'm able to identify and anticipate a lot of what's coming after that. You got to know your key signature. It's really, really important. The second piece of basic theory that I think you should start getting into your awareness is intervals. Now, intervals can get pretty extensive with the sounds that you're trying to memorize and master, but if you just start kind of dabbling with it now and understand how that plays a part in communication as a musician and how it's going to help you become a very, very strong musician down the line, that's what's most important. So as an example, if we take one of those power chords we did earlier, doesn't matter which root note we choose. What we're focusing on is that this is a 5th interval. These two notes are a 5th in distance, and a 5th provides a very specific sound, just like all the other intervals do. So that's the idea of getting it in your sphere. Oh yeah, a power chord is a perfect 5th. Understanding that's going to make you a better musician, and it's going to progress you into that advanced territory. So these are the 9 things I think that every beginner guitarist should know. I hope this really helps you out. Thank you guys for checking out this video. If you like what you saw here, please subscribe to my channel. And you can also check my playlist on guitar lessons for tons of free guitar lessons and tips. Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe below by clicking that red button. Also click on the bell to receive notifications from me anytime I post a new video. If you're interested in guitar lessons with me, head to my website, BrandonPaulGuitarAlliance.com. All ages, all styles, all skill levels, super HD videos made just for you. Lastly, if you could follow me on my Instagram and my Facebook fan page, that would be amazing. It's at BrandonPaulOfficial. There's more guitar lessons, tons of videos of me playing, my own music, and so much more content. Thank you guys.